It's the start of another brilliant weekend. This is Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. In the beat, we'll be starting off with our newspaper headlines, and right after that, in the jiffy, would be our main conversation. But please do well to be part of what we do. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, respectfully, that is, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We have today in the studios Emeka Matunago, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through all that we have. Good morning, Emeka.
Hello, good morning. Hello, viewer.
Yes, thank you so very much for joining us this weekend. So let's start today with the Weekend Trust this morning. And we have lots of interesting stories here. Tinubu on the very top strip, of course. On a sad note, of course, Tinubu Obasanjo Buhari mourn as Adebanjo dies at 96, the leader of Afenifere. And on the bottom strip here, 29 die, 48 in Kano auto crash. But our talking point for today, $150 million bribe. Binance official accuses 3 lawmakers, couple of writers here, says NSA demanded crypto worth billions. Allegations false coming from the federal government. Agbese Abanke call for proof. Emeka, it was a very big blow to the National Assembly when the Binance man that was held a couple of months back actually made this allegation of $150 million bribe from members of the House of Assembly, and of course involving the NSA also. Speak to us on this matter.
Well, the interesting thing is that the matter took many months, and we in the media were advising the Tinubu administration. There are more important things to do than trying to get into a tangle with people over cryptocurrency. That crypto had nothing to do with the value of the naira. That you, President Bola Tinubu, you brought the naira down. First of all, you said subsidy is gone without a plan. Then the next day you decoupled, you disentangled the naira from the dollar. You know, under Buhari, the naira, you know, the naira was managed. It was a managed situation that left the naira at 750 to $1, you know. But you came, first of all, you threw the economy into a tailspin. Then the next thing, you said you are floating the naira. Against what? There were no buffers, there was no planning, nothing. Just because IMF and the World Bank just told you, do it, and you went ahead. And look at the disaster we have on our hands today. Then, when the whole thing blew up in your face, you now started looking for whom to blame. Oh, that it was crypto. Because how can crypto cause it? And that was what Gambrian was, you know, lecturing them about. That they said there was it 26 billion, you know, that Nigeria. I said no. That shows they didn't understand what crypto was. That people play crypto with the same amount of money again and again. That somebody has $100, you know, and use it to trade. Use the same $100 to trade again. Doesn't mean that, you know, if you look at the record of the person's trade and it's $10,000, it doesn't mean the person had $10,000. But they were so determined to go left and right, do all manner of embarrassing things that ended up messing them up. Look at where they are today. They are all running around, running up and down, trying to defend themselves.
But do you think the allegation has some facts in it?
Well, I wasn't there. But one thing I want to say is that it's good we've heard from both sides. And one thing we have to know is this. I think right from the beginning, when the President's Special Advisor on Media, Bayo Onanuga, made some funny statements, about the matter that was later debunked, I knew that these people were going to mess themselves up. You see, when you are dealing with economic issues, you leave them for the experts. You don't bring all kinds of people. You brought House of Reps, you brought ESCC, you brought NSA. What's the business of the NSA in financial dealings? You are not a crypto expert. If there was anything, lay down your facts. These guys said you invited them for a meeting. They came for a meeting and you detained them. So the point is, it should be a lesson to them. The kinds of things you dabble into. And then look at what was later said, that Tinubu was asking Joe Biden, to write him a congratulatory letter and praise him, on his handling on the matter. And then because of that, his delegation to the United Nations General Assembly wasn't giving their full request for visas. Just like you saw what Canada just did, denying the Chief of Defense Staff and some senior military officers of visas. That is it. Everybody in government wants to be a part of the show. Even people who have no business with it. And so they keep embarrassing themselves. Look at what Ribadu was saying about Canada. They can go to hell. You see, I don't know. Look, discussing these people at times just, makes you so sad.
Yeah, but of course we have to do that.
So these people should not be in such offices. How can you put somebody like Ribadu as National Security Advisor? Look at the embarrassment that a country like Canada, then the Minister of Defense was coming out. No, Minister of Defense, okay. Matawale, that Nigeria should deal decisively with Canada. How? Excuse me? A country you are collecting aid from and all of that, you will deal with who? Canada? Even Niger Republic. You are going to end up in a big disaster in Niger. Small Niger next door. Then it's Canada you want to take. You see, the problem with these fellows is that many of them should not actually be in government in the first place. There's no preparation, no training, nothing. They've been governor, or they've been minister, or they've been senator, or rep. And so what? What's the record of achievement? What was their program of action? Nothing. And then you now say, please. Please.
Actually, very, very funny one, though. We hope that that the call for proof to that allegation is still on, and we hope that.
No, Gambrian has replied them this morning on X. He replied them this morning.
All right.
On X, and he said that he will not. He will suspend talking for some time, But he had made his point, and I believe that his coming out to say those things was strategic. So I don't know.
All right, so let's talk about maybe get into a little background on the history of Pa Adebanjo, who of course died at the age of 95. A really a great man, an elder statesman who has been there, championing the cause for a better governance and good Nigeria. Especially his support for Peter Obi in the 2023 general elections. Emeka, speak to us on this.
Yeah, Peter Obi, of all their presidential candidates, had a program. He had a clear-cut program. Wasn't coming to come and experiment. But the problem was that, the others were more interested in fanning ethnic and religious sentiments. And then, of course, you see how the result ended. The IRF that was showing results suddenly went off. Come on. You see, we are just, one thing we should know, we are hurting ourselves. So, elections have consequences. That's the truth. Elections have consequences. Chief Adebanjo told Nigerians, he said, make sure that this election goes in the proper way. Otherwise, you will regret it. And Nigeria is not regretting it. Now look at telcos from March 1 now. A new raft of charges will come in. Telcos increasing their charges, ATM charges, the 3 free ATM withdrawals will be scrapped. Then don't forget the tax reform bills, maybe by September this year, will come into place. Forget all the stories, all the lies they are telling about the tax reform bills. It's still going to take money from people. They say it's going to take money from companies. Do those companies exist in isolation? They are made up of people, and those companies will get their money from people, from their workers. Chief Adebanjo was a nationalist and always an ardent follower of the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo. And he was a man who stood for truth and justice. Look at all of them now eulogizing him. How many of them believed in his ideals? How many of them were they not the ones insulting him? An old man like that. Were they not the ones insulting him because of election? Come on. These guys, look, P2B said something. Said Chibaya Adebanjo told him, whatever you do, stand on the side of justice. That was the last word he told him. And I am happy that we had voices of truth, voices of reason like that. And then they were not like the wicked politicians we have today. Wicked politicians who don't mind trading Nigerians for a mess of porridge. And look at the way the economy is. Is this how an economy should be? You go about, they tell you $1 trillion economy, but everywhere is smelling. All the cities are smelling. They're driving on the roads. You have to hold your nose. If you don't have an AC car, no security, nothing, no job security, nothing, no jobs. The youths are just there, roaming the streets in search of jobs. Where lies the hope of the nation? That was what people like Chief Ayo Adebanjo set out to address. But what do we see? What do we see? Youths, the very youths who are being robbed, who are being denied of a fair chance in the policy. They are the ones supporting the very politicians who are messing them up. And I tell some of them, I say, well, I just shake my head. When I look at what some of them do on online, I shake my head. I said, look at Chief Ayo Adebanjo. When he was an ardent follower of Chief Obafemi, how old was he? How old was he? These guys were young guys in their 30s. Then. They were young guys, some in their 20s, some in their 30s. They were young guys who really believed, they pushed what they believed in. But what do we have today? You see youths, pushing ethnic agenda. That this and that and the other. At the end of the day, does that put food on your table? You go on social media, you see, the kind of language, youths deploy. Some can't even write good grammar. You see this idea of mob mentality. Anything comes up online. If you now try to call for reason, you see people who are even old enough to be grandparents. You see them coming to attack you. And I just wonder, what has happened to us as a people? What has happened to our reasoning as a people? What is it? I'm happy that people like Chibaya Adebanjo, at least they stand as icons, that can be, whose life can be studied and emulated by youth. I once interviewed him, very interesting man, very interesting man with a good sense of history. He knew a lot of things about it. When I look back at people I had interviewed, people like the late Chief Bola Ige, Chief Michael Ajashin, who was governor of Ondo State, some of those people and the things they stood for. Oh, those were glorious days. But I believe Nigeria will still rise again.
All right, I sincerely equally believe Nigeria will rise again. Most importantly, with the hope that we would have leaders who would emulate the lifestyle, the nationalistic ideology and value of Pa Adebanjo. That's our prayer and that's our hope. And still on the Vanguard newspaper, Emeka, I'd love you to speak to this issue because you talked about it. APC presidency under Buhari and Tinubu a disaster, and that's coming from Bogaji. Is he saying this because he is in the opposition?
No, is it not
to
clear?
The fact?
It's clear for all to see. It's clear. The other day, Buhari was trying to whitewash his horrible and disastrous, destructive, misadventure. But what you saw how Nigerians replied him? Has he not gone to hide? Has he not gone back into hiding to shut his mouth? Can you imagine? This is a country where people have no shame. People who cannot even run a kiosk on a street.
Are you referring to when he said that his only source of income is a little property?
That was a bloody lie. In fact, he should have been tried and jailed for that lie. Because former leaders get very handsome princely packages. Princely retirement, they get a princely retirement package. So that thing he said was a blatant lie, was a bloody lie. was a bloody lie. Don't mind him. That is how they give wrong examples to our youths. They won't encourage our youths to speak the truth. And then you now blame the youths that they lie, they get into Yahoo and all that. Who is teaching them? Is it not such irresponsible people in positions of authority whom they look up to as role models? Yes, the Buhari's regime was a disaster. 8 years. Complete destruction of the nation. Complete despoilation of the nation. Total disaster. That of Tinubu. Tinubu said he will continue from where Buhari stopped. So what did you expect? That he would think differently from Buhari? No.
And with Tinubu making Buhari look like a saint?
No, Buhari will look like a saint to people who have amnesia, people who have a short sense of history, or people who try to be dishonest with historical facts. Because there is no sainthood in a disaster. A disaster is a disaster. There is no how you can try to embellish the fact or whatever. It was a disaster. Look at thousands of Nigerians that died under Buhari. Look at the insecurity. We thought Buhari was coming to make a difference, a change, that there was going to be that change that they professed, that Jonathan couldn't make. Because I see some people saying that Jonathan was a good man, that Jonathan, they planned against him. It's like I was educating someone this morning on X. I said, you people, you don't have a sense of history. Because in social media, you can just put, on X, you can just put your thoughts in just 140 words. So Nigerians now think in micro words. Yes, just a few words. You don't know that there are some of us who witnessed all these things. We have a track back of events of how Jonathan failed woefully, despite advice that he was giving, despite the fact that people were telling him, Jonathan, don't go this way. Jonathan, look at this, look at this, look at this. Your officials are engaged in, mind-boggling corruption. Rein them in, caution them, or sack those of them who are incompetent. He kept quiet. He didn't do anything. Well, you've seen the revelations coming out now. Some of them are not even denying the loot attributed to them. But how did such money get into the hands of private individuals, if not with the connivance, active connivance of people in government? And that's what you're seeing now under Tinubu. People deny, no, this, that. They say one thing in the morning, they say another thing in the evening. So what do you expect? That the nation will get better? Come on. Well, I hope somehow the nation will get better, but that will be in spite of all these characters, because they don't have any attitude, that can bring about good governance.
Now, speaking about attitude that could bring about good governance, on the Saturday Punch newspaper, Obasa drags Lagos Assembly Speaker to court. What is happening?
I expected it to happen now. I said it to happen because, you see, he has to also safeguard his political future. The fact that he was removed as Speaker can be used against him in future. He has said he would like to run for governor. He might want to run for Senate or House of Reps. So, one, there is a principle in law called audi patem. Hear the other side.
Okay.
So in a dispute, you must hear all sides. We only heard the side of the lawmakers that gathered to impeach him. We didn't hear his own side. You accused him of corruption. You accused him of different things. While the man was away, that's not fair. That's unlawful. That's morally reprehensible. If you accuse a man of anything, let him give his own defense. Even if you're going to remove him because you have made up your mind, or your godfather has told you to remove him. But let the man state his own side. And that's what I was saying. Some people were insulting me, because there are people who cannot reason. They have lost their sense of reasoning. So once they go online, all they just do is abuse it because they lack proper parental upbringing. And so they cannot even engage an issue. I saw the language some even journalists were using. And I asked them, I said, why are you so involved in this matter? You're not a member of the House of Assembly? You're not a member of APC? You're not a leader of APC? What is your personal interest in this matter? As a journalist, you should be detached from the matter. analyze the issue, which was impeachment of Obasa. Now he has gone to court, so that the court will make a pronouncement on whether his impeachment followed due process.
But Emeka, all of these things would never have happened without a little bit of an idea from the leader of the party, who is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So where does it stand in the mix?
Tinubu has told you that he knew nothing about it.
But we all know that is not.
No, I'm coming. He said he knew nothing about it now. And so that was why some APC leaders now said the House of Assembly should write a letter of apology to Tinubu and the party. How do you diminish an assembly like that? But let me tell you, we all know, just like you're saying now, there was the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob. You know, those pulling the strings and pretending that, oh, they were not the ones behind it. We've seen all of those tricks many times now. We've seen a lot of those things many times. You know, I mean, but what I'm more interested in is the fact that, you see, even Obasa himself, I don't sympathize with him.
Why?
Because the way he comported himself during the 2023 elections was very, 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 very sad, very shameful. The kind of things he was saying, that they will reverse all reversibles to make sure that Igbos never have any, that they cannot, in his own thinking, interfere in elections in Lagos State, so that they are going to make laws to remove property rights, ensure the constitution from people.
So the chicken has come home to roost.
Oh, what did he expect? It was just a matter of time. Let me tell you, he was only used. And he was briefed. That's why you see many of these people. They don't reason. They just brief them, go and do this. Go and say this. Go and abuse this person. And then when they finish, they forget that there is a day called tomorrow. That posterity will judge them. For him, his own came very early. Under 2 years. Under 2 years, the very people who were pushing him, say what you like, he didn't know they removed the rock from under his feet. And he was still dancing about, feeling very good. To the extent he now turned against them and said that in terms of the governorship, that viral video, in terms of governorship, there's nothing those who have been there, have done that he cannot do better than. That includes Sanwo-Olu, the sitting governor. That also includes Tinubu.
Tinubu himself, yeah.
And so what are you saying? And you think they will condone such? You are just a tool. You are just a tool that was used to achieve, a purpose. And that purpose was achieved, and that's all.
So are we seeing the end of Obasa's political career anytime soon?
No, I don't think so. Well, he actually had a meteoric rise in politics. He was a councillor, low government councillor, and then from there became House of Assembly member. In the kind of politics we have in Nigeria, anybody can become anything. Even a garage tout can become a local government chairman. I mean, what am I even talking about? In Nigeria here, somebody who was a tout, a known garage tout, he even confessed it himself in an interview that he was a garage tout. And he became a minister and a senator in Nigeria. He confessed himself that yes, he was a motopark tout. Somebody who was a tailor in Obalende in Lagos here, became a minister in Nigeria. Somebody was a hairdresser, became a minister and one of the top people in this country. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that because somebody is a hairdresser or dressmaker or anything that the person cannot aspire. But the point is this, when you look at what they eventually brought to bear when they held high office, how you say, well, the hood does not make the monk now. There's no difference.
Very well said. We just have to leave it at that. And of course, let you know that we'll be right on with our main conversation. Emeka will be here, of course, to take us on that particular segment of the show. That is when we return, President Tinubu directs ministers to show proof of accomplishment. It's still Enterprise Weekend on Enterprise Television. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.